Oh yeah, baby, that's lovely.
We now wander off the beaten path with an update from the Reefer Reporter.
Hello and welcome to the Reefer Reporters. It's April 25th, 2022. I'm Al Graham and Reverend Kelly joins me here today on the Reefer Reporters. And we are live on Facebook and YouTube and coming to you from the Legacy420.com news desk. Good morning, Reverend Kelly. How are we today?
Good morning. It's Monday morning. It's great. A great sunny morning outside the window in Orono. What's it like over there?
It's still sunny, but they are calling for rain today in massive amounts. And it was supposed to start earlier this morning, and it did. And then all of a sudden it stopped and the sun came out and it was really nice. And as of, say, 9:58 Eastern, it still wasn't raining here yet.
Yeah. I hear it's coming though. The kind that's like, what are you gonna do with the basements kind of stuff? Like maybe check down there kind of stuff.
Maybe take a look. That's right. Yeah, they're coming for lots. Yes. So what I got to see you on Wednesday.
We had such a nice time visiting at Legacy 420. It was so good to be there. Did you try the moose?
No,
The pickerel or any of that? Oh, you tried the pickerel.
I tried the pickerel. Kathy brought me over some of what she had there, and I tried a piece of it, and it was really, really good.
Good.
Yeah, and I can tell you the moose stew smelled excellent.
Oh, yes. For me.
I don't know how it tasted. How did it taste?
I don't eat meat.
Oh,
I said to the gentleman who's got a wonderful story, I said to him, do you sell anything that doesn't have meat? He said, no, you're at the wrong place. That's okay. Nice guy, though.
Now, well, did you get any edibles while you're there?
I drank so much root beer, infused root beer. You got a chocolate bar.
I got a chocolate bar.
They sold me some of their cake.
Yeah, even comes to the best before date on the back.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Everything in there is top quality. Everything in Legacy 420 is top quality for sure.
I had 2 of them. I've only got 1 now.
I don't blame you. I got a plant. I got a clone from them, a beautiful Pineapple Express plant. Yeah. So
yeah, I saw them all there, all the plants that were on the trays in the front door. I also saw that you got some special shoes.
Oh, St. Patty's Day from Scott. Yes, sent us over some shoes. We're going to actually auction them off at the lounge here, and the proceeds will go to St. Patty's Day for Pass the Peace Pipe project.
Nice.
Yeah.
Good stuff. Good stuff. All right. Well, we've done lounge news. On to the news that's going on elsewhere around the world. And we're going to start off as we always do right here in Canada. And first story is Canada's adult use cannabis sales continue decline in February to $336 million. A decline, Kelly.
Oh, sales of the legal adult use cannabis in Canada declined 2.9% from January to February. That's according to new government retail sales data.
Yep. Total monthly sales, they say, were $336 million, marking 2 months of consecutive sale declines since December.
The January sales total was revised downwards slightly to $346.5 million. As in January, cannabis retail sales declined on a monthly basis in every province except 2, Ontario, the largest provincial market, and Saskatchewan.
Yeah, Ontario grew by 4.5%. Over month to month to $142 million, which or a 42.4% of the national total, Kelly. 42% of it. Oh, yeah. Saskatchewan sales increased by 1.5%.
Okay.
14.7.
So in order of the market size, February retail sales and monthly sales declines in remaining provinces, 5.4% in Alberta there, 58 million.
Yes, yeah, BC, theirs went down 7.1.
Yeah.
Quebec went down 12.5. Down in Manitoba, down
all
in
across the board.
Yeah, all across the board. Wow.
What's going on? Monthly sales in the Yukon were 758, which is a 6.2 monthly decline as well.
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah, they dropped down. Like look at that. Newfoundland and Labrador, they're at basically 16%. Wow. Cities now.
Yeah. So the top one, of course, Toronto, 47.4 million, as we said, and up 1.8%.
Yeah, and the only other city that went up was Ottawa. Other than
Yep.
that, all those other cities there, Quebec, Gatineau, Calgary, Edmonton, they all dropped.
But there's nobody weighing in on this article on as to why this happened. What
No,
the
no, it's
decline
not.
is? Why is there a decline in sales?
Yes, exactly. Exactly. They don't explain in
Hmm,
there other than and that they're going down.
I don't know.
Uh,
Maybe just
what do you
everybody
think?
went in December and bought extra for Christmas and they're declined. It just doesn't. Oh, I got it. It's the inflation rate. The cost of gas is up.
Uh,
The cost of food is up. So
cost
people
of
are
living.
spending less money on cannabis. I bet that has something to do with it.
I'm sure. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Good
Uh-oh.
point. Good point.
Uh-oh.
Good
Well,
point.
we'll watch that for sure. And I bet by next week somebody will have a written piece as to why this is happening now.
Yeah, correct. I'm sure there will be. We'll watch that. Now, something else that everybody should be watching. That is our next story, and I'll just go right to it. Uh, Victoria Cannabis Buyers Club meeting with Health Canada over dosage limits.
Mm.
Kelly, as you know, Victoria Cannabis Buyers Club. It's one of the oldest ones here in Canada.
Yeah.
They're involved in the Owen Smith case that made major implications when it comes to medical use, as well as the legalization of cannabis.
Right.
This next argument, as you can see, is over dosage limits,
Okay.
and because Victoria Cannabis Buyers Club is supplying their members with higher dosage edibles than what's available in the legal market.
Right.
So now they're going to court. There's all that big fine. So let's get into the story. And this I see is very important for patients because we're all arguing for higher dose limits on product. So,
Absolutely. Absolutely. They're actually meeting with Health Canada today to discuss dosage limits on cannabis products.
yes, exactly. The club is currently facing about $6.5 million in fines, partially due to having higher doses in their products than approved by the organization.
So the VCBC, which is located on Johnson Street, has been providing cannabis products to patients with a confirmed diagnosis of a serious medical problem since 1996. Now, patients need a referral from a medical professional giving them the option of cannabis over opiates for pain management.
Yeah, I've seen some people online sort of question why you have to prove a medical. Well,
Right.
this is the way they were done 25 years ago.
Yep. Yep.
So, it is now more. It now has more than 8,500 patients fighting a number of conditions like diabetes, arthritis, and cancer. Ted Smith, president of the VCBC, says that when you eat edibles as medicine, it's when it can be really beneficial for fighting pain, inflammation, anxiety, and a number of other issues.
Absolutely. The club's products have a higher dosage than the 10 milligram approved by Health Canada, with some reaching into the hundreds of milligrams.
And this has caused the store to be raided and fined by BC's Community Safety Unit multiple times. And Smith says that 10 milligrams is not a high enough dose, which is why the BC provides more.
Right, saying the low dosage products that are available legally are not sufficient enough for people who are trying to fight opiate drugs or fight cancer or serious arthritis and such. Saying high dosage cannabis medicines are safe, effective, and necessary and will not stop fighting until they are readily available.
Now, Smith is preparing a constitutional challenge against Health Canada's medical cannabis programs if it doesn't give BC an exemption to the dosage limit. He is also preparing to challenge his fines in court.
Smith believes with the ongoing opioid crisis in BC, the province should be looking at what the club is doing as an option to help.
Yeah, he says if you want to follow the science, and the science says cannabis is an excellent replacement for opiate drugs, and they should be considering it as a priority. With the mounting death toll, for them to be fining us millions of dollars for saving lives is just really surreal.
Wow.
Yeah,
Mom,
and he's right. When you look down throughout the states, a lot of the states where they've legalized medical cannabis, opiate prescriptions and deaths have all gone down.
yep.
Yeah, and they're not stuck to a 10 milligram limit.
Nope. They need this.
Yes. Oh, yeah.
Mom Stop the Harm has been working to bring light to the opiate and illicit drug problems in the province. On April 14th, the group held a march in Victoria talking about the issue.
Leslie McBain, a co-founder of Mom Stop the Harm, told Czech News, cannabis use for pain is terrific. She says, cannabis has a pretty good track record of not being addictive, of not generally being dangerous for most people. We're all for it, she said.
Wow. Wow. She added that her son died of an opiate overdose, and if he had been given the option of something that had worked for him besides oxycodone, maybe he'd be with us today. Wow.
It's right. And Kelly, it's so important for patients to know that they have a choice, that they have
Right.
the option
Yes.
to go either way. And it's if you're concerned about the opiate use, try the cannabis. And if the
Right.
cannabis doesn't work, then move from there. But
Right. It's a fight against harm reduction.
yeah,
And that's what we need, cannabis for harm
yeah,
reduction.
yeah, exactly. So
Wow. Well,
continue on.
congratulations for them to be able to get a meeting with Health Canada. Congratulations for them to be able to have that conversation. And hopefully
Yeah.
they'll get these fines overturned.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. And they say that the final story is Smith is waiting to hear from the Solicitor General for a court date to fight the fines. So they're dealing with the one situation
Yeah.
today, and then they'll be dealing with the fines coming up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we'll send our blessings out there and hope for the
Right.
best. They're the longest running dispensary in our country. They're
Yes.
the
Yeah.
longest running, and they've been, what did they say,
1996.
19? Yeah, exactly. And how 8,500 patients.
Yeah.
And they're patients. That's
Patients,
what it
correct.
is.
And
Nurse.
they've all proven that they're patients.
Absolutely. And
Whether
they
whether it's
may need these higher dose edibles. Could
yeah.
you imagine if you couldn't have higher dose edibles for your I don't know what I would do if I could only have 10 milligrams. I would be so fat because I would just have to eat, 10 chocolate bars to, sleep properly. That's not fair.
Well, it's not. Yeah, correct. Exactly.
Medical is
Like
different than
this,
adult use,
this chocolate bar right here, it's 200 milligrams.
right?
Each square is 16.7 milligrams.
Ooh. I like that.
Right?
Yeah, that's a good sleep.
Yeah. Yeah, correct. So, if you only need 50 milligrams, instead of buying 5 chocolate bars,
Right.
you eat 3 pieces.
Right? You're good.
You're good
I
to go.
know. I know.
Yeah.
Well,
Just so you know, we got a message. Kent Molson says, "Good morning."
good morning, Ken.
Yeah, I'll be talking to Kent soon. We hear from Kent during our broadcasts.
Oh, good.
Yeah, yeah. Usually every day, every show we have, you'll hear him. You'll hear
Okay,
him.
good.
All righty, here we go. Next story. Lots of cannabis stores have opened. Now lots are going out of business, according to the regulator.
Right. As cannabis shops continue to open province-wide, dozens of the businesses already have closed, including at least 2 in southwestern Ontario, says the province's cannabis regulator.
Close. Wow, really? I was surprised, to hear about this many. There are 1,457 cannabis retail stores operating in Ontario, with applications for 471 more. So you're looking at basically 2,000 if they all go through. Others under review, according to the AGCO. As the stores tally keeps rising, London has 35 of the outlets and at least a dozen more coming. Industry leaders have predicted some of these businesses will shutter or close.
Mhm.
Yeah.
32 cannabis retailers have closed in St. Thomas, Windsor, Ottawa, Hamilton, and the Toronto region. That's according to the AGCO.
So that's what, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 areas. So you're
Yep.
looking at an average of 6 stores
Yep.
closed per
Yep.
area. No reasons have been given for the closings, and the tallies didn't include proposed stores that didn't make it through the application process.
Okay. They've got some listings here in St. Thomas, in Windsor, Ottawa. They've all been closed there.
Yeah. Yeah. And they say that it's a regular process for closing a retail store. That includes notifying the AGCO.
Right, of course. Quoted as saying there is a process to ensure that the operator has taken the necessary steps to close their store, including dealing with any remaining inventory, which must be sold prior to closing, or returning the inventory, or destroying the inventory.
Yeah, I wonder if they're telling them to put the destroyed inventory in kitty litter.
I hope not. Oh, I hope
That's what they
not.
did with us.
I know. I know. I know.
But I know what you mean. I know what you mean.
Wow.
Okay. As part of the final steps to ensure compliance, AGCO confirms that all outstanding and final reports have been received and are in order, including the Ontario Cannabis Store confirming there are no active orders for cannabis or deliveries scheduled.
Okay. But despite the closing and predictions of more to come, some cannabis store operators are looking to expand their footprint into the already saturated market. Ooh.
Yeah, Marie and Bob Ross, who runs Bob's Bud Emporium in St. Thomas, are opening a second location in an Elgin Centre Mall, a first for an independent operator in Ontario, where larger cannabis chains recently have expanded into shopping centers.
I like that.
That's seeing the little guy getting into the mall. That's
I
good.
like that. I like that. Saying that there's a lot of residential development out there, but there's the bus stop. There's the bus that stops right there by the mall. There's the movie theater, the gym, and the mall owners are doing a great job to bring the Elgin Center back to life. Oh, wonderful.
Yep. The couple's downtown shop was first to open in Elgin County and the only store to offer delivery, according to Ross. Ross also says that through this whole time, we've been able to develop a good customer base, adding that there are lots of misconceptions about opening a cannabis retail store.
Okay. Well, the pace of pot shop openings is beginning to slow in Ontario, where the number of stores increased by 20% between October 1 and December 31, down from a 34% increase during the previous 3 months, according to a recent report from the Ontario Cannabis Store, which runs the wholesaler and delivery service.
Yeah, which is sort of expected. You can't keep going at that
No,
mad pace for so long, right?
there's so
So
many.
yeah, correct. So it's going to slow down.
There's a new one opening up near me, Hampton. Today is their grand opening.
Oh, really?
And
Eh?
it's probably it's within a 10-15 minute drive to the lounge here for sure.
So that'd be probably your closest one.
We have one in Newcastle that's closer. It's your local cannabis store, and it's a 10-minute drive. I timed it. I like it so much. And they deliver up here in Orno. Hampton it's a little bit closer to Oshawa,
Yeah.
where they've located, but it's nice that they're servicing that area. There's nothing there for cannabis, so I think they'll do quite well.
No, there you go. And with deliveries to boot, right?
Right? And it's close to the Cineplex, which is up there.
Right. Right.
They could deliver there.
More of the movies, someone getting the beverage.
Yeah.
All right. Well, here we go on to our next story. This one is it's not a follow up or anything like that, but he was a former guest on the Pace Radio show just recently, and this has to deal with our latest 420s. And it says the Windsor cannabis lovers celebrate 420 on April 22nd.
Uh-oh. They said they didn't get stoned and forget. Hundreds of people showed up to eat, drink, vaporize, and otherwise ingest cannabis for the Windsor Weed Association's 420 celebration on Friday, which you might realize was actually April 22nd.
It's 422, so it's kind of like a little play on the year, according to Alex Newman, who organized the 422 party on Drollard Road. It's the 22nd year, and it's a Friday. I thought I would be better than having it on a Wednesday. And
Yeah.
you know, Kelly, in the past, I've seen 420s being held on the Saturday.
Sure.
And 420's been held through the week.
Sure.
Yeah.
If I lived closer to Windsor, I'd go down there for sure. That sounds amazing. April 20,
Likewise.
right? Or
Yeah.
420, it's recognized something of a national holiday, of course, for the cannabis culture, with devotees joining together in rallies and parties to light up and raise awareness about our beloved herb.
Yeah, Alex, who thought it would be better to have his event held heading into a weekend, said cannabis has been gaining mainstream acceptance since it became legal across Canada in October of 2018.
It's getting there, he said. There are still some stigmas here and there and a lot of questions. People are kind of slowly taking to it, but this is kind of the point. it was legalized, and then you had COVID, and you never really had the opportunities to really have any of these events.
That's right. Oh, look at that bong.
Yeah.
I've used one of those
Yeah.
before.
Amazing.
Windsor's 422 event was an outdoor affair staged on both sides of the street in the 1000 block of Drollard.
Artists and artisans set up tents to showcase their talents. There was a bong bar, dab bar, drink bar, and of course, tacos. Of course. Newman said he's not allowed to sell food where cannabis is on offer, so he partnered with the Grand Cantina a couple of doors down to handle the munchies.
That's right, exactly. That's what he told us
Yeah.
during the show. Is that it wasn't like a rally or anything. It wasn't really a festival, but in a way, it
Yeah.
was different businesses that sort of got together and joined in on this. It was
Cool.
pretty cool. Yeah, yeah. So, okay. Cannabis companies even offered freebies. The free samples were a big hit. I guess they were.
That's right. He says, I just came, or there was quoted saying is, I just came by to check out what's going on and enjoy some of the festivities. Craig Dumouchel, who started using cannabis to replace addictive pharmaceuticals following a sports injury. Sampling for sure, not working today, so I love to sample, he says.
I can tell you, the people love free samples. Newman, formerly the co-owner of Higher Limits in downtown Windsor, called Friday's event a cannabis consumption experience. He saw it as a place where the cannabis curious could test products and equipment they might not have thought to try on their own.
That's a good way to put it. We've got a whole bunch of different devices, volcanoes, bongs, and then we've got some samples as well. If you want to try something, you can try it. If you want more, you can bring your own. The whole point is kind of to sample a bunch of things, try different products, and just engage in social activity that's been missing for quite some time.
Big smiley face
Yeah,
there.
that's so nice.
The social interaction was the most important part of Friday's festivities for Don Foley, who showed up wearing a cannabis leaf necklace and matching face mask and pants. There you go.
Al,
Right there.
we should have gone, Al. We should have just taken the Pace Radio bus down and gone. Oh, this sounds so
Yeah,
neat.
we should have
Next
gone
year.
down there.
Next
I
year.
know.
Next year.
Next year, eh?
Nobody gets together anymore. She says we're trying to recreate this for people who want to be part of the cannabis culture. It's bringing everyone together, and we're happy to be there. They look so happy.
Yes, that's right.
Good for them.
Yeah, and it's I think it was good to have him on and talk about to find out what's going on. So and like I mentioned, he talked about having other business involved. They talked about having on both sides of the street. Geez, downtown Orono. What do you think?
Yeah, let's do that.
Yeah.
Wouldn't that be so cool? They wouldn't know what hit them.
Well, think of it as maybe improving tourism by having something like that in a downtown, especially in a small community.
I love it. I love it.
So
they'll ride in there on their tractors.
yeah. I was saying, could you do it during the fall fair?
Yeah. Oh, that's a good idea. Because, if they won't let us in their fair, if they won't let us, put the agriculture in their fair, then maybe we can just make our own. And then the fair people can come. That's a great idea. Yeah. We'll steal them. Come on down.
Exactly. All right. Because, it can help, like, as I said, tourism
for sure.
Brings people into the town, stuff like that. Right. And, gives people that experience, which leads us into our next story, which is the last one before break. And that is this national organization wants to make cannabis Canada a cannabis tourism destination.
Yes, we do. Elizabeth Becker is preparing to head to Miami Beach, Florida, when she gets a call from the Growth. This was a couple of weeks ago that she did.
Yeah, this is the Grow Up. Yeah, Becker is the founder and CEO of High B&B, an online booking marketplace for cannabis-friendly accommodations, excursions, and activities. As part of her company's efforts to raise seed capital, she's heading south to attend the Bazenge Cannabis Conference.
Becker is a founding member of the recently formed Canadian Cannabis Tourism Alliance. The group hopes to change policy and develop an economic mandate for cannabis tourism and hospitality in Canada.
Yeah, they argue that the Federal Cannabis Act, which mainly focuses on cannabis production, distribution, and sale, fails to adequately address the social and public consumption of cannabis, limiting opportunities for businesses, residents, and tourism. And I have to agree.
That's right. She's quoted as saying, "We wanted to create a national organization so that we could have a voice in the government and build cannabis tourism in Canada. We are very interested in putting Canada on the map at the international destination for cannabis tourism. We're the first country in the G7 to legalize at the federal level, and we feel that it's our right to be able to advertise internationally so that people can come here and enjoy our relaxed laws and our great community."
Yep, the organization is open to individuals and companies that are working to create cannabis tourism and hospitality experiences in Canada. The membership fee is $100.
That's right. It's still in the early days of the organization. Becker says CCTA is aiming its efforts at the provincial level.
Yeah, while provincial patchwork of regulations across the country makes rallying for policy change a fragmented task, Becker says it also creates opportunities to highlight when provinces get something right. She points to a recent regulatory change in Alberta that allows retailers to offer online cannabis sales and provide delivery as an example. And I bet you she could also throw in there now, Kelly, about them looking into allowing cannabis to be done at festivals and stuff like that.
That's right. That's right. Saying
Yeah.
that it was a huge breakthrough. So the CCTA is good for us to understand how did they accomplish that? How can we leverage that information and those resources so that we can talk to the other provinces?
Yeah. She was also on Dragon's Den,
Yep.
looking for dealing with stuff there,
Yep.
and comparing things to the wine industry. She says that the general public, the first thing they want is to travel to places where you're seeing the cannabis growing and you're learning about it and you can taste it and sample it and purchase it. That's really what they want to have.
That's right. The organization also wants cannabis products to be available to consumers in places like cafes and restaurants.
That's what cannabis tourism is, where somebody can enjoy cannabis products integrated into their lifestyle without having to go to a cannabis dispensary or retail store and purchase it, she explains.
The public consumption of cannabis in an area that remains is a bit of a haze. However, CCTA argues that while the sales of cannabis have been implemented effectively, the feds failed to consider how people want to consume and where they're going to consume. Becker even highlights the term recreational use.
Yeah, they call it recreational use, but there are no opportunities where we can socialize and consume cannabis at the same time. All of that needs to be defined.
I've never read an article where I was reading an article about myself before, Al.
You want me to read the next line?
Yeah, I don't know. What do you say to that? One of the CCTA's founding members is me, Kelly Addison, the owner of Kelly's Green Lounge, cannabis-friendly business in downtown Orono, about an hour and a half drive east of Toronto. It's nice to be featured in there, and so pleased to be putting this alliance together with the other
Yeah.
founding members.
Well, yeah, tourism, it's an opportunity.
Yes.
We're going to find out later on about places that maybe don't want it, but
Right.
I think we should embrace it.
I think so.
Obviously, I think yes. Cannabis isn't for sale on site, but people can gather there for education and concierge sessions, as well as community building events and online programming. And that's about your lounge.
Right, yes. And she says that she believes businesses like Kelly's Green Lounge will eventually be able to sell cannabis as well, but notes that many entrepreneurs have had to get creative in the interim. High B&B, one example.
The site allows private property owners to open their homes and backyards to cannabis imbibing guests who are of legal age. Cannabis-friendly events and experiences can also be booked through the online marketplace.
B&B is basically finding the gaps in legalization and seeing what can be done in order to allow cannabis tourism anyway, while being legal at the same time.
Yeah, back in 2018, Shaman Ferrero, a CEO of PI-based cannabis tourism guide Go Canna, told Bloomberg that the cannabis tourism industry could generate $2 billion annually in Canada.
Ferrero's estimate was reportedly informed by Statistics Canada data, and a 2015 report focused on tourism in Colorado. That report found that 4% of all visitors to the state were motivated to visit solely to shop at dispensaries, while nearly a quarter of the respondents said access to cannabis positively impacted their decision to visit.
25%. 25%.
Yeah.
Yeah. The CCTA and its members routinely look at mature markets in the U.S. for guidance about how to develop cannabis tourism in Canada, particularly when it comes to working with local governments.
Now, Becker is also a member of the California-based Cannabis Travel Association International, which works to unify the cannabis and tourism industries and promote the development of safe and responsible cannabis tourism.
Yeah, she says that the organization works with municipal governments. It is an example that Canadians can follow.
Right. She goes on to talk about Palm Springs and how that's got a really great destination. And then the article moves on to talk about Susan DePage, who's cannabis researcher, and she's another one of the CCTA's founding members. She's a social science and humanities research council postdoctoral fellow at the University of Guelph, and is heading to the U.S. soon to conduct research about cannabis agritourism in California and Colorado. She's brilliant.
With the frost and those nugs.
I know.
Despite the federally legal status of cannabis in the U.S., Dupé says there are many examples at the state level that Canadians can learn from, including with respect to cannabis lounges and hotels, which we know they're opening up south of the border.
Tons of them south of the border.
Yeah.
A relationship that's reciprocal. She adds that the U.S. considers enacting federal cannabis reform in legal states. Look at Canadian initiatives such as farm gate sales. DuPage contends that the federal legalization has led to a more transparent relationship between consumers and their cannabis sources, and it only makes sense that many consumers want to be able to explore that relationship further, including visiting producers, purchasing on-site, and learning about growing methods.
Yeah, they say that in the U.S., you can actually go into the fields and have a personal interaction with the plant. And this is something that I'm going to study, Dupé tells the Growth Up. People want to do that. That is cannabis is an ultimate attraction. And I can tell you, Kelly, when we were doing the shows at Treating Yourself magazine, and we had plants in our booths, people wanted to come in the booth and just to touch them and smell them.
Of course.
And they weren't even in bloom. They were just vegging.
Yep.
You just wanted the experience.
Of course.
Yeah.
Of course. Yep.
Yes, exactly. All right. Well, what do you say? Are we done there?
Yes, absolutely. It's a good article. It's a great opportunity.
All right. Good stuff. What do you say? We head to break?
Yes.
All right. Off to break we go. Medication time. Reverend Kelly and I'll be right back after a dab or two. You're watching the Reefer Reporters. We're live here on the Pace Facebook and YouTube pages. Or maybe you're listening to the podcast afterwards at paceradio.net. We are people advocating cannabis education here at paceradio.net.
Who has huge buds? You do. If you shop at BMA Hydroponics, attend one of BMA's educational seminars and learn the secrets of growing, harvesting, processing, and consuming quality cannabis and cannabis products. Learn how to make better extracts, edibles, and medicinal creams at prices you can afford. Visit BMA Hydroponics at 404 Maitland Drive, Belleville, or call 613-967-9888.
The only way to go.
Enjoy the buzz of legalization with Campbellford Lifestyle Shop. From lights to plant nutrients, books, consumption accessories, and more, we've got all your basics to grow or consume cannabis. Visit our info center or take a look at our piercing services and body jewelry, now available in-store through Campbellford Lifestyle Shop, 17 Bridge Street West, Campbellford.
Pace Radio is the people advocating cannabis education radio network.
Did you know that the Pace Radio Network isn't just a radio network? That's right, because most, but not all of our programming is now done via video and is then podcasted at paceradio.net. So if you want to watch our programming, you'll find us on the Pace Radio Network's Facebook page, plus the show's own page, and you'll find us live on the network's YouTube channel. And don't forget, you can find it all, video and audio, at paceradio.net.
At Legacy 420, we believe in being different.
Experience the difference of quality control.
Our labs provide tested formulations for all of our products.
Experience the difference in trust.
Our customers can trust that we are following up-to-date COVID precautions for their safety.
Experience the difference in accessibility.
We're open 7 days a week. Please visit our website, legacy420.com, or contact us for curbside pickup as well as nationwide mail order shipping.
Legacy 420 values overall wellness.
Come and experience the difference of Legacy 420.
CP operates a medicinal cannabis signing clinic. If you want to grow your own medicinal cannabis and are located anywhere in Canada, then I'd like to suggest that you give them a call. They can be reached at 1-613-967-9888. That's 1-613-967-9888, and grow on with CP.
Catch the Reefer Reporters Mondays and Thursday mornings at 10 a.m. Eastern Time, live here on the Pace Radio Network.
A doctor's job is to relieve your pains. And when it comes to growing cannabis, the biggest pain is trimming. Let Dr. Buck Cannabis Trimming Solutions take the pain away. Whether you're a home grower or a commercial operation, we have the cure. From 4 plants to 400 plants, garden size doesn't matter. Dr. Buck Cannabis Trimming Solutions comes to you with years of experience and professional discreet service. It's simple. We trim your weed and we do a damn good job. Visit drbuckcts.com to book your trimming.
You're listening to the Pace Radio Network here at paceradio.net. Hey, we're back from our medication session, and we are live here on our Facebook and YouTube pages, plus podcast at paceradio.net. After the broadcast, Kelly, just, talking about Dr. Buck there in the commercial. I was over to see him on the weekend.
Ooh, how was that?
Quick and easy, I'll tell you. 20 minutes. I bet you, I would have spent probably 5-6 days, maybe even 5 to 7 days.
Yep.
Trimming. Right. And so I spent maybe 2 hours prepping them before I went over to see him.
Yeah.
And he was all done in 22 minutes.
Wow. And this is from an indoor grow.
Correct.
Okay. Wow.
Yeah.
That's amazing. And it would have taken a lot longer than that to do it by hand.
Oh, yes. Days. It would have been anywhere from 5 to 7 days by hand.
Wow.
Yeah.
And you get to keep all your trim.
Correct.
Yeah. That's amazing.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
Very cool.
I got some pictures and some video and things going on.
Nice.
So, yeah, it was good. It was good. Quick
Very
and
good.
easy.
Quick and easy.
That's right. We finished up before the break. We're talking about tourism, and that's where we're going to start off right again here as we come back. And that is because tourism is the missing piece of Canada's cannabis legalization puzzle.
Absolutely. And of course, it's written by Susan DePage, who we were just talking about in the last article. She's a good friend of mine. 3 years into the federal legalization of cannabis in Canada, most all the pieces are in place for the growth of a robust cannabis tourism industry, except one.
Cannabis tourism includes a variety of activities, events, and places that are part of any vacation or travel plans that incorporate cannabis. What's missing are the rules around consuming cannabis socially in public settings, highlighting a broader issue about cannabis legalization in Canada.
My recent research on the cannabis industry suggests that integrating cannabis consumption into tourism will have positive social impacts towards normalization, acceptance, and tolerance of cannabis.
Oh yeah, but didn't they shy away from normalization of cannabis when they made this?
Maybe. Maybe.
Yeah. Reframing a once demonized substance as a legitimate recreational source, tourism can play an important role in challenging stigma. Sure it can.
Absolutely. Similar to findings from the United States, preliminary Canadian market research around cannabis travel point to untapped economic opportunities for incorporating cannabis into travel experiences. The interest is likely to increase as attitudes become more open towards cannabis. Cannabis tourism can include a variety of services and experiences, such as tour companies, booking platforms, cannabis-friendly accommodations, lounges, bud tending services, spas, consumer trade shows, specialty travel guides, retail locations, as well as events such as festivals, comedy shows, and others, maybe weddings.
Maybe, maybe, right? And there's nothing wrong with all that stuff that you read off on cannabis tourism, where it can all be implemented.
Yep.
Like, why has it been missed out? Why has it been left behind?
That's right.
Yeah. Cannabis tourism can enjoy a variety of services and experiences, as tour companies, booking platforms, cannabis-friendly accommodations. You just read all that?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I thought it sounded familiar. In all of its forms, cannabis tourism, get you out of the way, is an educational platform for sharing different types of knowledge about growing the plant, understanding how cannabis interacts with the body, legally purchasing cannabis, the different products available, the different ways to consume cannabis, and the cultural context surrounding cannabis in different locations.
If the iconic coffee shops of Amsterdam have taught us anything, it's that the ability to purchase and consume cannabis in a lounge-type setting without fear of reprimand by the authorities or judgment by general public attracts tourism.
The ability to legally consume cannabis in public for social, recreational, and leisure purposes offers timely opportunities for businesses in tourism and hospitality industry hit hard by the pandemic.
Yet a regulation gap has prevented the development of spaces in which people can responsibly consume cannabis products. In order for the cannabis tourism industry to move forward in a socially responsible and sustainable way, regulation is required in the area of cannabis consumption.
Closing the regulatory gap around cannabis consumption requires two things. First, legislators must set aside outdated, uninformed, and mistaken ideas that associate cannabis with devicancy and illegitimate behavior. Education has a significant role to play changing perception.
Second, regulation around consumption must be thought of as an extension of the cannabis supply chain in Canada.
Now, similar to the legal production and sale of cannabis, spaces of public consumption can be regulated through licensing. Obtaining a license would enable a business to offer patrons the option of legally consuming cannabis on premises. We did that in Ontario for several years, Kelly, as you know, and it wasn't a problem. The only problem was that they put a law in to stop them. That was the only problem.
I know. I know. When things got legal, it got illegal.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
One level of hospitality licensing could include on-site consumption of prepackaged foods and beverages, which would allow an individual to purchase an edible at a cafe or lounge and consume it at the same establishment. Please.
Yeah, please. It's a start. That's right. Exactly. Another layer of licensing could address temporary events such as concerts and festivals with designated outdoor consumption areas for combustibles. Licensing also needs to address infused food and beverages prepared and served by restaurants. Yeah.
Regulations are a great way to promote Canada as a safe destination to experience cannabis and entice the global travel audience. Beyond economic benefits, regulating cannabis consumption supports the government's own objectives of reducing risk and supporting public health.
Yes, yeah. Most significantly, Canada is in a position to be a global leader in setting an international precedent for socially responsible and informed policy for a historically stigmatized and misunderstood substance. But a vibrant cannabis tourism industry in Canada is being held back by a lack of clear and meaningful rules. Regulations enabling public consumption will open up a new frontier for cannabis in Canada and at the same time push forward a socially responsible and progressive agenda for tourism that benefits tourists and citizens alike.
Yes.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Yeah, exactly.
Let's make that happen.
Yeah, it's got to happen. And, I wouldn't doubt, well, some places, it's sort of how cannabis got legal. People were doing things, people could say, well, you're breaking the law, but they're also pushing the envelope.
Yes. Well, yes, that's just it.
Right,
Like
exactly.
Victoria's Buyers Club that we were just talking about, right?
Yeah.
And that's how things happen. So
Exactly. And there's a lounge up on Grand Bend that apparently is doing something that's getting people to consume outside.
okay.
Well, yeah.
Why not? Why not? We would have done that if we had had a patio. We would have done that the whole time. We just go stand outside on the street anyway. We just don't have tables and chairs.
You just don't have tables, and they probably took the bench away from beside your building.
Oh no, they put it back. It's a nice one now.
Ah, good.
Yeah, we can
Good.
consume there, but it's
Good.
just it's not. They made the laws that you cannot be close to the front door. So you have to be so many meters away or so many feet
Yeah.
away, and it's just very silly how it worked. So
Yeah.
yeah, we need some
Yeah.
changes to the rules.
Yeah. Oh, yes. Oh, yes. Yes. Exactly. All right. On to our next story. And this one, it came out a few weeks ago. But Kelly, you and I, we've always had this question when it comes to the U.S. What's going on? How come they're legalizing all this in states, but yet federally it's not legal?
I know.
And they keep holding off on it. So this next story, the headline says, White House won't say if Biden supports federal cannabis legalization bill passed by the House.
Okay. So President Joe Biden agrees that our current cannabis laws are not working. White House Press Secretary Jen Psaki told reporters on Friday, just hours after the U.S. House of Representatives passed a bill to federally legalize cannabis, but she declined to directly address whether the president supports the specific legislation.
There you go. The MORE Act passed along mostly partisan lines, with all but 2 Democrats voting to advance it to the Senate. Asked about the president's position on the measure, Psaki said vaguely that Biden agrees that we need to rethink our approach to cannabis policy.
She reiterated points that Biden made on the campaign trail about the need to address the racial disparities and systematic inequities in our criminal justice system, broaden research on the effects of cannabis, and support the safe use of cannabis for medical purposes.
But while the MORE Act includes provisions to support those objectives, it goes further. Specifically, it would remove cannabis from the list of federally controlled substances, impose a tax on cannabis sales to fund various programs, and promote equality in the industry. Something tells me that the tax part's not holding him back from signing anything.
Yeah. Something else. Biden isn't in favor of adult use legislation, even if he's expressed support on the campaign trail for letting states set their own policies. About a year ago, Pataki reiterated that the president's opposition to broad reform has not changed.
Oh, well, there you go. Isn't in favor of adult use legalization, and it hasn't changed. At Friday's briefing, the press secretary, who is reportedly planning to leave the administration later this year, said that we look forward to working with Congress to achieve our shared goals, and we'll continue having discussions with them about this objective.
Do these shared goals include the main components of the MORE Act to holistically end prohibition? Psaki didn't get into detail in another example of the cannabis policy schism that divided not just congressional lawmakers along partisan lines, but also the Democratic president and supermajority of voters in his party.
While it's true that Biden campaigned on several cannabis reform promises, from rescheduling to expungements to legalization for medical use, he's yet to act on them after more than a year in office. That's in spite of intense pressure from lawmakers and advocates throughout his tenure.
Biden himself hasn't made a substantive public comment about cannabis policy since entering the Oval Office, but making a quick dismissive comment to a reporter who asked about the clemency for current federal cannabis prisoners.
On the other hand, Vice President Kamala Harris, for her part, said last year that the Biden administration isn't focused on following through on its cannabis reform pledges because it's too overwhelmed with other issues.
Oh, boy. Okay. Advocates are losing patience. It's one thing that the administration hasn't taken concrete steps on its own to change federal cannabis policy, but it's also taken actions that subvert reform efforts.
For example, in Biden's latest budget proposal for fiscal year 2023, he again proposed the continuation of a rider blocking Washington, D.C. from legalizing cannabis sales. To the relief of advocates, however, he again kept a separate rider intact to protect legal medical cannabis programs from federal intervention.
Now, the lack of clemency action from Biden is especially disappointing to advocates who have been lobbying the White House to do something on the issue.
Is he maybe in favor of medical cannabis, but he's not in favor of legalization? That's what I'm sort of getting from here. Biden has received about a dozen letters from lawmakers, advocates, and celebrities and people impacted by criminalization to do something about the people who remain behind federal bars. After years of inaction, some members of Congress, like Senator Elizabeth Warren, have even sent follow-up letters demanding a response.
Right. Now, a report published by the Congressional Research Service last year affirmed that the president has it within his power to grant mass pardons for cannabis offenses. It also said that the administration can move to federally legalize cannabis without waiting for lawmakers to act.
Early in 2021, the Biden administration came under fire after it was reported that it had terminated or otherwise punished dozens of staffers who admitted to prior cannabis use as part of the background check process. I remember that.
Right. Now, Psaki previously attempted to minimize the fallout without much success, and her office also stressed that nobody was fired for cannabis usage from years ago, nor has anyone been terminated due to casual or infrequent use during the prior 12 months. However, she's consistently declined to speak to the extent to which staff have been suspended or placed in a remote work program because they were honest about their history with cannabis on the federal background check form. Oh,
Yeah.
wow.
For what it's worth, the poll released in January found that half of Americans feel that Biden has made little to no progress on his campaign pledge to decriminalize cannabis during his first year in office. And most people aren't betting on him doing more to advance reform in 2022.
Okay.
So while we didn't find out exactly why, we got a bit of an understanding that I look at it as it's not going to happen anytime soon, and if it does, it may fall under the line of the medical end versus the recreational end.
Right. Right. Wow.
Yeah.
Well,
yeah.
Doesn't seem to be any good progress there.
Yeah, that's right. Well, maybe it's not progress there, but there's progress happening elsewhere, and that is in New Jersey, because there, amazing cannabis sales in New Jersey bring excited buyers, according to CTV News.
Absolutely. Michael Barrows wore his Grateful Dead t-shirt and Jerry Garcia face mask for opening day of recreational cannabis sales in New Jersey on Thursday, one of dozens of people who lined up before dawn to join the celebratory scene.
It's pretty amazing, exciting. And if I get pulled over on the way home and I'm ever asked if I have any drugs in my car, now I'm allowed to say only this. Burrows says, holding up the canister of cannabis flower he had just purchased. Possession of cannabis is now legal in New Jersey, although driving under the influence is still prohibited. I wonder if he held it up. I wonder if they have something like we do, access to the driver.
Right. I don't think, as you were reading that, I was like, maybe put it in the back, buddy. Right.
We have the skunk in the trunk campaign.
Right. It's much better. Now, Barrows 60 joined a steady stream of other novelty seekers, longtime cannabis users, and medical patients in Rise and Bloomfield, near the state's biggest city, Newark, and not far from New York City.
With soul music blaring, free donuts in the parking lot, a steel drum and balloon arch at the entrance, New Jersey cannabis kickoff for people 21 and older had the feel of a fair more than a store opening.
That's cool. Hagen Seeley, 23, said he had just found out a day earlier that recreational sales were starting and decided to see what the scene looked like. He was impressed with the venue, decorated with an old train station style tote board and long wooden tables featuring products under glass globes.
Yeah, Seeley says, it feels right. It feels safe. It feels like everything you'd want it to be rather than anything you could get anywhere else.
Cool. The start of the recreational market comes a week after Democratic Governor Phil Murray announced that the state regulators had cleared the way for recreational sales at 7 alternative treatment centers that had already offered medical cannabis. The 7 centers operate 13 facilities across the state.
Murphy, who had long backed recreational cannabis legalization and signed the bill that set up the marketplace, appeared at Zenleaf in Zenith or Elizabeth for its first day of recreational sales. The governor said he wouldn't be trying any cannabis, saying earlier this week it's not his thing, and that he prefers scotch. Murphy said he would be pushing for a federal fix for cannabis as well, though it was unclear whether he was referring to recreational legalization, national decriminalization, or something else.
Now, Hadi Batiste, 47, is a Navy veteran and medical cannabis card holder for his post-traumatic stress disorder. He's a regular at Zenleaf and said he's never seen the location as busy as it was on Thursday.
Good. New Jersey recreational cannabis law gives priority status to people of color for dispensary licenses, a fact that will help knock down brick walls people faced for years during the war on drugs, Batiste says. It's about time that minorities, people of color, black people, brown people actually have a chance to get into the business.
Now, Charles Pfeiffer stood in line for about 2.5 hours, said he believes he was the first recreational customer to make a purchase at Zenleaf location. He cheered loudly and pumped his hands in the air when he was led into the shop. I'm picturing him.
Yes, yeah. He bought some cannabis flower and candy for about $140 and joked about how quickly he'd need to return to buy more. I'll be back tomorrow. I'm kidding, probably within a week, he said.
Zenleaf employee Destiny Pimentel said she came to realize the benefits of responsible cannabis use after her older brother died. When I consume cannabis, I'm not as anxious and I can focus, she said. She's committed to showing people it's possible to use cannabis and have a successful career.
Yeah, New Jersey is among 18 states plus the District of Columbia with legalized recreational cannabis markets. 37 states, including New Jersey, have legalized medical cannabis, and New Jersey is first among its closest neighbors to begin recreational sales.
And it's among its closest neighbor to begin recreational sales. New York is moving fast with the recreational market, but sales are not expected to start until the end of the year.
That's too bad. Neighboring Pennsylvania has medical cannabis, but not recreational. Legislation to permit recreational cannabis in Delaware was defeated in March. Oh, that's too bad.
Yes. Now, Ben Kovler of Green Thumb Industries, which operates the Bloomfield dispensary, was at the opening on Thursday, and he expects a demand to grow since news of the start of sales has only been known by the public for a week.
Yeah, it's a moment in time in American history where Prohibition 2.0 is lifted, he said before the opening. To get regulatory approval, the facilities told regulators they would not interrupt access for medical cannabis patients. Well, that's good.
Yes, that's important. Terrasen Zad Glenman says the centers would initially have a narrower menu for recreational users in order to accommodate patients. So they're really taking that into consideration.
That's right.
The medical and the recreational.
Yes.
That's good to see.
Yeah. New Jersey's tax revenues are expected to climb, but it's not clear by how much. Murphy's fiscal year 2023 budget is pending before the legislature and estimates revenues of just $19 million in a nearly $49 billion budget. So they're only expecting $19 million.
Right. And it goes on to talk about the different taxes, but I'm jumping forward to the last line, which I'm very confused about. State regulators say dispensaries are allowed to sell up to the equivalent of 1 ounce of cannabis, which means an ounce of dried flower, 5 grams of concentrate, or 1,000 milligrams of edibles like gummies. Perishable items like cookies and brownies are not available. So does that mean you can get 1,000 milligrams of gummies there without, like, you can only get 10 milligrams per package, but I'm wondering here if you can buy 1,000 milligrams there and what their packages are like.
Yeah, that is. I'm sitting here looking at this. Yeah, 1
Right?
ounce of cannabis, which 1 ounce of cannabis is the same as ours.
Yeah.
The 5 grams of concentrate. I don't know what our conversion is,
Sort of
but
that
but
equivalent.
it's obviously less than it's an equivalent. But the 1,000 milligrams of edibles.
Yeah.
Because we're still only allowed 30 milligrams of edibles
Right.
of everything combined.
Right. Interesting, right?
Yeah.
Maybe our math is off, but it's very
Maybe.
interesting to see that they're bringing that the milligrams there.
Yeah,
different
that's
edible
because we're
milligrams.
not allowed to not that I'm thinking offhand, anyways.
Yeah.
Yep. All right. On to our next story as I get it loaded up. Weren't you mentioning something about weddings earlier? About something and an opportunity that could work for
Yes.
tourism?
Yes, let's do that.
All right. Well, here we go.
Oh my goodness. Police in Florida have arrested a bride and her caterer after finding they allegedly added cannabis to the food that was later served to wedding guests.
The arrest came some 2 months after officials were called to the wedding to assist guests who said they felt as though they had been drugged. Well, you gotta tell people, you gotta label things.
Yeah. Danny Svoboda and caterer Jocelyn Bryan face charges of tampering, negligence, and delivery of cannabis.
Officials made the arrest after testing food and drinks from the party, and the wedding occurred on February the 19th in the city of Longwood in Central Florida.
So the responding deputies wrote in their incident report that several of the 50 guests present reported feeling weird after eating meatballs, Caesar salad, tortellini, and bread with an olive oil and herb dip.
Guests were complaining of stomach pains and vomiting. Several were transported to hospital for treatment. Wow.
Wow. One guest
Vomiting.
told the officer he felt tingly, his heart started to race, and he was having crazy thoughts.
Another guest thought her son-in-law had died, and then her family was keeping information from her. She was taken to hospital where she became loud and unruly and had to be given something to calm down.
Wow. This is something like you see this kind of thing in a movie. This is like a movie plot or a television show plot. But I'm wondering why the bride would feel that it was okay to just do this to people without
Well,
telling them.
That's the problem right there.
Right?
You gotta
Right?
tell people, not telling them,
Right.
not informing them. This is what happens.
Right. This is exactly what. Remember that story about the army lady, and
Yeah.
they were going to fire all the guns, and she gave them cupcakes or muffins with cannabis.
Yeah.
She went to jail for it.
Yeah, it was live ammunition practice.
Yes, right.
Yeah.
Now, according to officials, Miss Svoboda was asked by police at the scene whether she had allowed for drugs to be put into the guest's food, and she denied it.
One guest, Miranda Caddy, says she witnessed a member of the catering staff adding a green substance to the dish that would later contain olive oil. It should be noted that Miranda Caddy was referring to what is commonly referred to as cannabis shake, which is the same scraps that fall off of larger amounts of cannabis, the affiliate states.
So Miss Caddy also claimed that the bride admitted to adding to cannabis the olive oil while the pair were on the dance floor, and the caterer and her staff had left the party before police could question them at the scene.
Now, have I got that right? I'm sort of picturing in my head. The cake is made, and they're adding the oil to the made cake right there at the event. They're not.
Yeah.
So would you not notice your cake's getting a little soggy?
Something like that. It's such a strange story. And marijuana shake, usually when we think of shake, it's not decarboxylated. So it's very strange. You're not going to get high if you're not going to decarb your weed. Strange. Very strange.
Yeah. Jeez. The caterer and his staff had left the party before police could question them at the scene. The police left after collecting glassware and food to be tested, including a charcoal-covered strawberries, pudding, desserts, and lasagna. If this stuff must have tasted really good if people were still eating it.
Right? The officials saying that the bread and the lasagna later tested positive for THC. And that the three guests tested positive for it.
Mrs. Svoboda and Ms. Bain were arrested on Monday. It's unclear if they have hired lawyers to represent them. Yeah. As legalization comes along, if they're serving all this food and nobody is noticing that it's got cannabis in it,
yeah,
and they're getting this stoned off of it,
yeah,
they need to get a job in the legal world because they're obviously doing something right.
Yeah, they covered up the taste.
They covered up the taste. Exactly.
I don't know. What a funny story. Why would you do that to people?
Yeah, exactly.
Don't waste it. Give it to people who want it, that want to get high.
Yeah, exactly.
Or say that I'm going to have a wedding. Like when I start doing cannabis weddings, which is something we'll start doing, and we have it, the whole thing is infused. We're going to have signs They
Yeah.
will say this food has cannabis in it. Warning, warning.
Warning.
Like
Yeah.
that's what you do to
Yeah.
people,
And
right?
yeah, we would do that during our grow up tournaments. People were coming to a cannabis event
Yep.
to smoke cannabis all day or vaporize and have edibles. But we still told the people this dish has got the cabbage rolls, it's infused.
Yeah.
Or this chocolate fountain is infused.
Yeah.
But these donuts that we got from the bakery, they're good.
Yep.
There's nothing in
Yeah.
them.
And I think you should. Because sometimes even if you want to consume cannabis, you have your limit. You don't want to go past it. Maybe you have to drive in a couple of hours.
Yeah.
You know yourself. You don't want any surprises like that.
Yeah, exactly.
No.
Okay, so we've been talking about tourism, couple stories today. We've been talking about weddings and how that can help out. Now, this next story might just put a whole damper on that. And that is because this headline says that Amsterdam poised to shut down cannabis cafes to tourists.
Yeah,
Yes, I read that right. Yes.
It's only a damper for those wanting to go to Amsterdam, not people that are part of a Canadian Cannabis Tourism Alliance.
Right. Exactly.
Amsterdam Mayor Femke Halsema says it's time to close the cannabis coffee shops because they're leading to too much trouble.
Too much trouble.
Yep.
Really?
Yep.
Yeah, Halsema told Amsterdam city councilors that the soft drug trade can lead to issues. She says, many of the major problems in the city are fueled by the cannabis market, from nuisances caused by drug tourism to serious crime and violence. Banning sales to tourists is a necessary intervention and the first step towards regulation. Okay. Really?
That's what they're saying. They're going to have just illegal underground ones. They're going to still do them, I bet.
Yeah, so tourists that smoke cannabis are a problem in the country.
That's what she says.
But
yeah.
Yeah.
But not that. Are you laughing because the red light district is going to still?
The red light district is there. They're still going to have the
bars with alcohol.
They don't want the tourists going to the cafe, so their own people, so their own citizens are going to the cafes.
Right.
So they're blaming all their problems on tourists.
That's right. Halsema believes a ban would be the best way to make sure the cannabis market stays manageable while experiments with the production of regulated cannabis get underway.
She has also started to campaign against street dealing, which includes warning signs, increased camera surveillance, as well as the use of hosts to warn tourists about the risks in Amsterdam.
Would they stand on the street corner and they hand out flyers?
I guess.
Is that what they're doing? Oh
yeah,
no.
I guess, and too, the surveillance cameras. I guess that's gonna.
Yeah. Interesting. The belief is that far too many tourists are traveling to Amsterdam in order to consume drugs. Well, maybe, but they're really, flourishing. The tourism industry is flourishing.
I guess, it's they're going there to consume cannabis.
Right.
Yeah. Many of the major. I don't know if you read this or not. Okay, you did. According to I can't pronounce SwishGenVistaInfo.com. Researchers found that only 66 of the total of 166 licensed cannabis shops or licensed coffee shops in the city are needed in order to meet local demand.
Right.
So there's 100 stores that are open to help the tourists, and all those jobs are created, and all those taxes are paid, and
right.
Yeah.
And finally, she's quoted as saying, Amsterdam is an international city. We wish to attract tourists for its richness and its beauty and cultural institutions.
Yeah. It's just, yeah.
That's it. That's all.
I don't know. Do you think it's political why she's doing this?
I think there was some crime. I know that we've reported on some stories before about how there was crime there. But I think that all of the different parts of the tourism stuff contribute to it.
Yeah, from my understanding, most of our cannabis crime now, what we're seeing is stores being robbed.
Right, that's true. Right? That's very true.
We also have gas stations being robbed.
Yep.
Convenience stores being robbed, but we're not getting rid of them.
No, liquor stores.
Yeah. So tourists that come to Amsterdam drink alcohol are fine.
Yep.
But tourists that come and consume cannabis are bad.
That's right. The ones that go to the red light district where the ladies are in the windows are fine. The ones that want the hash are bad.
Yeah, exactly.
It doesn't make sense. Okay.
Yeah. So what does make sense is what's going on in the lounge this week.
Oh, we just have our regular hours, except we have a Soul for Souls box as well. So a local member, Nathan Bailey, is collecting shoes for the vulnerable population in Oshawa. So we've become a donation drop-off. We've got a nice big box here. So if anybody has any old shoes that they want to contribute to Nathan's mission of Souls for Souls, they can drop them off here.
Great initiative. That's good. That is needed for sure.
Yes, for sure.
All right. That's our Reefer report for April 25th, 2022 from the Legacy420.com news desk. We'd like to thank our buds, BMAhydroponics.com, drbuckscts.com, Legacy420.com, the Camelford Lifestyle Shop. And in closing, we'd like to say thank you for watching and listening. Plus, don't forget to educate, medicate, and do not incarcerate. Talk to you all soon.
Oh, yeah, baby. That's lovely.
You're listening to the Pace Radio Network here at paceradio.net.
The views expressed by the individuals during this broadcast are their own opinions, and they may not be the same as those of their group or other organizations they may be involved with.
BMA Hydroponics has everything you need to succeed. Visit our hydroponics superstore at 404 Maitland Drive in Belleville, and we'll show you how to grow your own quality cannabis for pennies per gram. We're open Mondays, Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Saturdays from 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. and Thursdays and Fridays from 10 a.m. to 7 p.m. Call 613-967-9888. BMA Hydroponics. It's worth the drive.
The only way to go.
At Legacy 420, we believe in being different.
Experience the difference of quality control.
Our labs provide tested formulations for all of our products.
Experience the difference in trust.
Our customers can trust that we are following up-to-date COVID precautions for their safety.
Experience the difference in accessibility.
We're open 7 days a week. Please visit our website, legacy420.com, or contact us for curbside pickup as well as nationwide mail order shipping.
Legacy 420 values overall wellness.
Come and experience the difference of Legacy 420.
Did you know that the Pace Radio Network isn't just a radio network? That's right, because most, but not all of our programming is now done via video and is then podcasted at paceradio.net. So if you want to watch our programming, you'll find us on the Pace Radio Network's Facebook page, plus the show's own page, and you'll find us live on the network's YouTube channel. And don't forget, you can find it all, video and audio, at paceradio.net.
A doctor's job is to relieve your pains. And when it comes to growing cannabis, the biggest pain is trimming. Let Dr. Buck Cannabis Trimming Solutions take the pain away. Whether you're a home grower or commercial operation, we have the cure. From 4 plants to 400 plants, garden size doesn't matter. Dr. Buck Cannabis Trimming Solutions comes to you with years of experience and professional discreet service. It's simple. We trim your weed and we do a damn good job. Visit drbuckcts.com to book your trimming.
Enjoy the buzz of legalization with Campbellford Lifestyle Shop. From lights to plant nutrients, books, consumption accessories, and more, we've got all your basics to grow or consume cannabis. Visit our info center or take a look at our piercing services and body jewelry, now available in-store through Campbellford Lifestyle Shop, 17 Bridge Street West, Campbellford.
You're listening to the Pace Radio Network here at paceradio.net.